voiced concern of a possible Israeli attack on Iran nuclear facilities. Suspect of Sydney church stabbing detained. Good afternoon and Salam Malaysia Madani. I'm Shuhaida Arifin and this is World Today. Israel struck a war-battered Gaza overnight as world leaders urge de-escalation, awaiting Israel's reaction to Iran's unprecedented attack that heightened fears of wider conflict. The Israeli military said it would not be distracted from its war against Tehran-backed Hamas in Gaza. As mediators eye a deal to halt the fighting, fears persisted over Israeli plans to send ground troops into Rafah, a far southern city where the majority of Gaza's 2.4 million people have taken refuge. The army said it was calling up 2 reserve brigades for operational activities about a week after withdrawing most ground troops from Gaza. The Hamas government media office said Israeli aircraft and tanks launched dozens of strikes overnight on central Gaza, reporting several casualties. Witnesses told AFP that strikes hit the Nusayrat refugee camp, with clashes also reported in other areas of central and northern Gaza. In other development, relatives try to identify bodies recovered from a mass grave in the courtyard of a gutted shell of Al Shifa Hospital in Gaza City, with the presence of the teams from the World Health Organization and the United Nations Office for the Coordination of Humanitarian Affairs.
أنا جيت اتصلوا فيا ناس قالوا طلعوا جثث في المستشفى إلي من قبل العيد وأنا بتابع نفس القبر الجماعي هذا وتو جيت بفقد الجثث لقيت جثة والدتي وتعرفت عليها من علامات مميزة في قدميها.
The Israeli military said it battled with Palestinian resistance in what was Gaza's biggest hospital during 2 weeks of fierce fighting last month, with the WHO saying that patients were trapped inside. Now, over in the United States, pro-Palestinian demonstrators blocked San Francisco Gold Gate Bridge on Monday, with aerial footage showing the entire span packed with traffic in one direction, while lanes in the other direction were empty. The protest appeared to be part of a coordinated day of direct action taking place in various cities around the world, calling for a ceasefire in Israel's war in Gaza. Demonstrators who were blocking traffic held a banner reading, "Stop the World for Gaza." Protest group A15 Action said it was coordinating a multi-city blockade in solidarity with Palestine. The United Nations nuclear watchdog is concerned about possible Israeli targeting of Iranian nuclear facilities. The agency Director General Rafael Grossi said Iran closed its nuclear facilities on Sunday over security considerations, and that while they reopen on Monday, he kept IAEA inspectors away until the situation improves.
Going to resume tomorrow. So what I can say is that this has not had an impact on our inspection activity. But of course, we always call for extreme restraint. Actually, what we were discussing here, which was not about Iran or the Middle East, is a tangible example of the need to avoid any physical attack against any nuclear facility. So, but we are there. We continue our work.
Israel's military chief said they would respond to a weekend missile and drone attack by Iran amid calls for restraint by allies. The IAEA regularly inspects Iran's main nuclear facilities, like its enrichment plant at Natanz, that are at the heart of the country's nuclear program. Iran says its nuclear program is entirely peaceful, but Western power accused Tehran of seeking to make nuclear bombs. Thousands of Georgians protested and lawmakers came to blows as ruling party legislators looked set to advance a foreign influence bill that critics say mirrors repressive Russian legislation used to silence dissent. More than 5,000 protesters massed outside Georgia's Soviet-built parliament building, demanding the government withdraw the legislation requiring organizations that accept funds from abroad to register as foreign agents or face fines. Georgian critics have labelled the bill the Russian law, comparing it to similar legislation used by the Kremlin to crack down on dissent in Russia.
We push hard enough to get this law out of the parliament, but if they don't do it, I think we have to push enough to get rid of this government.
It's like copy-pasted from similar Russian law against freedom of media, against freedom of organizations, and it's like we will receive same results as now Russians are facing, so it's completely same.
The ruling Georgian Dream Party said this month it would reintroduce the bill 30 months after it was shelved due to protest. Russia is widely unpopular in Georgia due to Moscow's support for two breakaway regions in the ex-Soviet state, Abkhazia and South Ossetia. Russia defeated Georgia in a short war in 2008. France and its allies on Monday drummed up aid pledges of over 2 billion euros for Sudan, a year after a civil war erupted, sparking one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. Tens of thousands of people have been killed and 8.5 million more forced to flee their homes since fighting broke out in April last year between rival generals. According to the United Nations, Sudan is experiencing one of the worst humanitarian disasters in recent memory, with more people displaced inside the country than anywhere else in the world and a fast-growing hunger crisis. Attention to Sudan's plight from the international community has been crowded out by conflict in Ukraine and Gaza.
Aujourd'hui, par cette mobilisation, notre présence à tous, c'est un message clair que nous passons aux belligérants en les appelant solennellement au respect du droit international humanitaire et de la protection des civils. Nous les exhortons à instaurer sans délai un cessez-le-feu afin de permettre aux acteurs humanitaires d'atteindre l'ensemble des Soudanais dans le besoin.
The conference in Paris, co-hosted by Germany and the European Union, included a ministerial meeting on political matters in addition to the humanitarian talks. Australian police said a brutal live-stream knife attack at a church service in Sydney was a religiously motivated terrorist act as they urged calm from the angered local community. Two people were stabbed when a 16-year-old suspect rushed to the dais at the Assyrian church in Western Sydney last night, slashing wildly at the bishop who was giving a sermon. The teen was immediately subdued by outraged congregants and taken into police custody. The alleged perpetrator was known to police but was not on any terror watch list. The incident came 2 days after a man with a knife killed 6 people at a shopping mall in the city's east before being shot dead by police. Graphic footage of Monday's stabbing showed the suspect emerging from the congregation, rushing the dais and slashing wildly at Bishop Mari Emmanuel before being subdued by churchgoers. There were tents seen outside the church after the attack, with hundreds of angry members of the local community trying to make their way past a phalanx of riot police to reach the suspect. 2 police vehicles and a number of houses were damaged as the protesters threw bottles, bricks and other items. Coming up next, flooding in Oman claims at least 16 lives. Stay tuned. Flooding in Oman has killed at least 16 people, many of them school children, following the discovery of the bodies of a child and 3 adults on Monday. Violent thunderstorms, heavy rain and strong winds beginning on Sunday have battered the country, causing flash floods in several regions in the north and east of Oman. The Sultanate's Council of Ministers said in a statement it was filled with grief and extend its sincere condolences and sympathies to the families and relatives of school students who recently died in the governorate of Ash-Sharqiyah. On Monday, the Ministry of Education shuttered schools in most regions as a precaution against the flooding, which also resulted in the closure of a number of roads. Dozens left stranded were rescued in operations aided by helicopters from Oman's Air Force. Storms were expected to affect other Gulf states, including Bahrain and the United Arab Emirates, later in the day. Heavy rain and floods in Pakistan have caused the death of at least 36 people, leaving many injured and property damage over the last 3 days. Disaster management officials said at least 8 people in the northwestern Khyber Pakhtunkhwa province died when heavy rains caused their houses to collapse. 3 men, 1 woman and 4 children died, while 12 others were injured and around 85 houses in the area were damaged. In the southwestern Balochistan province, 7 people were killed, 5 were struck by lightning and 2 died when their roof collapsed. In the central Punjab province, 21 people, including 7 children, died when they were struck by lightning. 5 other people were also injured. Pakistan Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif offered his condolences and said he had asked the National Disaster Management Authority (NDMA) to coordinate with the provincial disaster management authorities to dispatch aid to the affected areas. Weather forecasters have predicted more rain for western parts of the country and the largest part of Balochistan in the coming days. Flood caused by heavy monsoon rains in Afghanistan have destroyed crops and infrastructure and left a number of people dead and injured. Muhammad Abdullah Jansaik, a Taliban spokesperson, has reportedly said at least 33 people have died in the floods, with another 27 injured. In the villages of the Lalpur district of Nagarhar, people sifted through the debris of their houses, which were destroyed by the flood, as they tried to take out their cattle and belongings buried under the mud. Chilean police have rescued an elderly couple lost in a snowy mountain range in the Atacama region. Atacama police said the couple and their dogs were rescued by authorities on their 4th day of being lost in the Alto de Carmen community. A heavy snowstorm blocking visibility and roads left the couple in precarious circumstances. Hannah Gutierrez, the chief weapons handler for the Western movie Rust, was sentenced to 18 months in prison in the death of cinematographer Helena Hutchins, who was shot when the actor Alec Baldwin was handling a gun during the film's production in 2021. In March, Gutierrez, 27, was found guilty of involuntary manslaughter for mistakenly loading a live round into a revolver Baldwin was using on a Santa Fe, New Mexico movie set. Baldwin's trial is set for July 10th after a grand jury indicted him on a charge of involuntary manslaughter in January. 2 German schoolboys have found bones scientists say belong to prehistoric elephants which lived outside Munich around 10 million years ago. The rare find gives an idea what the long extinct animal known as Deinotheria or horelephant looked like. The mammal, with a shoulder height of up to 5 meters and a weight of up to 12 tons, had its tusks coming out of its lower jaw, quite different from what we know from elephants living today. Following extensive excavations near the small Bavarian village of Promviperdorf in the district of Erding near Munich, a total of 120 bones were found. Initially, 9-year-old Konstantin Kapustin and his 10-year-old brother, Alexander, found just 1 bone. Paleontological preparator Niels Noschke said some of the bones were heavily fractured when they were found. The find is now on display at Toffischen's Prehistoric Museum, run by Peter Kapustin, who said not all bones had been prepared yet. next in sport, Palmer scores a 4 in Chelsea thrashing of Everton. Stay tuned. All right, we're starting off our sports segment this afternoon. The ship that is to take the Olympic flame to Paris for the 2024 Games was docked at a Greek port on Monday, near the site of the birthplace of the ancient Games. The three-masted sailing ship Bellum from France was docked in the port of Katakolon, some 40 kilometers west of the archaeological site of ancient Olympia, where the first Games were held in 776 BC. The torch for the Paris 2024 Olympics will be officially lit today in the archaeological site by a Greek actor playing a high priestess using a parabolic mirror and the sun rays. Actor Mary Nina will then pass the flame to the first torchbearer, Greek Olympic rowing champion Stefanos Ntokos, for the start of an 11-day Greek relay. The French-owned Bellum, classified as a historical monument in 1984, underwent restoration to carry the flame from Athens to Marseille. It began as a merchant trade ship in 1896, the year the first modern Olympic Games were held in Athens, transferring cargo such as cocoa from Brazil and sugar from the West Indies to France. It changed hands often throughout its history. Owners include the Duke of Westminster in 1914 and the Irish brewer Sir Arthur Guinness in 1921. In the Premier League, Cole Palmer scored 4 goals to put Chelsea within touching distance of the top 6 after a 6-0 win over Everton. The England international has been a shining light in an underwhelming campaign for the Blues this season and level with Manchester City striker Erling Haaland 20 Premier League goals in the race for the Golden Boot. Palmer killed the game as a contest as he completed his hat-trick inside 30 minutes before Nicholas Jackson also struck before half-time. However, the night was not without drama for Chelsea as Palmer had to fend off teammates Jackson and Noni Madueke to score his 4th from the penalty spot. Despite an 8-game unbeaten Premier League run, Chelsea remain in 9th but are now just 3 points adrift of 6th place Newcastle with a game in hand to come. And they will head into Saturday's FA Cup semi-final against City, confident they can end the holders' quest for a second consecutive treble. A demoralising defeat leaves Everton still perilously placed just 2 points above the relegation zone. Barcelona coach Xavi Hernandez say his team Champions League quarter-final second leg clash against Paris Saint-Germain would be similar to the first leg thriller. Xavi said the second leg at Barcelona's temporary Olympic Stadium would produce more of the same spectacle.
Lo que queremos es quitarle el balón al PSG, atacar y ganar el partido. Eso queremos, pasar la eliminatoria y ojalá nos salga nuestra mejor versión, nuestra mejor imagen para poder pasar. Tenemos que hacer las cosas muy bien, porque es un equipo que te va a exigir muchísimo, ¿no? Sobre todo en presión alta, te va a presionar los 90 minutos. Visualizo un partido muy parecido al de la ida, por lo tanto va a ser complicado. Mañana, insisto, tenemos una guerra futbolística importantísima, ¿no?
The 5-time champions edged Luis Enrique's PSG side 3-2 in a Paris blockbuster last week and are aiming to reach the semi-finals for the first time since 2019. Meanwhile, Enrique said that his players were strong enough to turn around the Champions League clash against Barcelona.
Hay que ser prudente porque está claro que el París no viene a Barcelona a regalarnos nada. Creo que el París va a venir con todo, más conociendo a su entrenador, van a intentar darle la vuelta. Es verdad que tenemos esa ligera ventaja que nos da el resultado, pero tenemos que salir como si no hubiese esa ventaja, salir a comernos al París y es como tenemos que salir.
Star forward Kylian Mbappe struggled to make much impact against Barca in the first leg, and Luis Enrique has been criticised over his handling of the France captain. However, the Spanish coach said everyone in the squad was pulling in the same direction as the Parisians continue their hunt for a first Champions League trophy. In the 2024 Under-23 Asia Cup campaign, all AFC matches are set to kick off in Qatar on 15 April. Will use the video assistant referee VAR technology. This was confirmed by the Asian Football Confederation AFC. It further added that injury time will be awarded based on how many minutes the match is delayed. AFC also said that they will introduce yellow and red card rules for numerous offences. The Under-23 AFC Asia Cup campaign will be participated by 16 teams in total. 3 teams will have the chance to automatically qualify for the 2024 Olympic Games, while 1 spot will be given to the team that survives knockout stage. The Harimau Malaya Under-23 under tutelage of Juan Torres Garrido continue to focus on their training in preparation for match against Uzbekistan tomorrow, followed by Vietnam on 20th April. Rafael Nadal has confirmed he will play this week's Barcelona Open in what will be the Spaniard's first tournament since January and first appearance on clay since the 2022 French Open. The 37-year-old Nadal, whose last ATP Tour match was in Brisbane before he pulled out of the Australian Open, withdrew from last week's Monte Carlo Masters, saying he was not physically ready for competition. Former world number 1 Nadal has said he expects to retire after the 2024 season, but is keen to play at the French Open, where he has won a record 14 titles. However, his struggle to recover from hip flexor surgery has cast doubt on whether he could continue his career.
No, I can't give you an injury update because the list is long and I just want to think about what can happen. I only can tell you that today I feel myself enough good to be on court tomorrow, and that for me is so important, means a lot to me to be able to play one more time here in Barcelona, in a place that I had an amazing success and a lot of unforgettable memories.
Nadal, the record 12-time Barcelona Open winner, has not played a match on clay since winning the French Open in 2022. Despite viewing the 2024 as his final year as a professional, the veteran said he was not setting any deadline for retirement. His opening match in Barcelona, where he has won a record 12 titles and the main court is named in his honor, will be against 21-year-old Italian Flavio Cavoli. Meanwhile, Carlos Alcaraz hopes to defend his Madrid Open title, but the Spanish world number 3 said he is uncertain whether he will be fully fit to do so. Alcaraz pulled out of the Barcelona Open on Sunday because of an injury to his right forearm and explained his current fitness situation. The Madrid Open starts on 22nd April, and Alcaraz said his goal is to play there after withdrawing from the Monte Carlo Masters earlier in April, and then from Barcelona, with the French Open approaching in the horizon.
Hay que lidiar con ello de la mejor manera posible. Ahora estamos un poquito mejor de ánimos, ya puestos en la recuperación, en intentar hacer todo lo que esté en nuestra mano para estar listos lo antes posible, y lo principal es Madrid. Es un torneo especial, bonito, que tengo muchísima ilusión por jugar, así que vamos a intentar dar nuestro 100% para poder jugar allí en Madrid.
Alcaraz has won 2 Grand Slams and is building towards Roland Garros, which starts on 26 May, having reached the semi-final last year in Paris. The 20-year-old said he would have liked to play in Barcelona after winning the tournament in each of the last 2 years. Former Bayern Munich boss Uli Hoeneß appeared as a witness in a trial against former German Football Association (DFB) president Theo Zwanziger and Wolfgang Nierbach and an ex-secretary general on Monday, who are accused of tax evasion in connection with the 2006 World Cup hosted by Germany. At the heart of this case is a payment of 6.7 million euros linked to a 2006 World Cup related event that never took place. According to a court spokesman, Hoeneß testified on Monday that Germany definitely did not secure the World Cup through vote buying. In 2016, a report by Freshfields law firm and commissioned by the DFB said there was no evidence of a vote ringing in the awarding of the 2006 FIFA World Cup to Germany. The findings were released at a time when the scandal piled pressure on former World Cup chief Franz Beckenbauer over a payment to a disgraced ex-FIFA official. Beckenbauer was already under pressure to deliver answers over the 6.7 million euro payment to FIFA in 2005. The report showed he transferred 10 million Swiss francs in 2002 via a Swiss law firm's account to a company owned by then FIFA official Mohammed bin Hammam. Neisbach, his predecessors Zwanziger and former Secretary General Horst R. Schmidt are accused of arranging for incorrect tax returns submitted for 2006 to enable the DFB to avoid paying millions of taxes, which they denied.
Isu-isu sukan tempatan di pelbagai arena, pelbagai gelanggang. Pencapaian dan kontroversi akan dikupas dan dibincangkan dalam Planet Sukan setiap Ahad 10 malam di TV1 dan saluran sukan RTM. Saksikan juga secara penstreaman langsung di RTM Klik.
And with that, we reach the end of our bulletin this afternoon. In our top story, UN nuclear watchdog voiced concerns of a possible Israeli attack on Iran nuclear facilities. Join us tonight at 8:30 p.m. on TV1 and Berita RTM for more news. Till then, I'm Shuhaida Arifin. From river to the sea, Palestine will be free. Goodbye for now.